to an Oreninc Podcast special. I'm joined by Brent Cook. He's with the Exploration Insights, and together with Joe Mazumdar, they publish their weekly letter. Brent, thanks for joining me this morning.
You're welcome.
It's always great to have you on. And last time we chatted, we were together in Beaver Creek, and we just saw each other this weekend in San Francisco at the Cambridge House Silver and Gold Summit. So we prepared a little agenda for this podcast, and we're going to talk about the Oreninc Index real quick and the financing activity and what both of us see here, because you're also a member or a consultant to the Mining Deal Club. We want to talk about the San Francisco show this past weekend, talk about discoveries and the location of discoveries, but also talk about your famous now joke, actually, the donkey is dead, and I think we should discuss that in a little more detail, what you meant by that, because some people, especially in the Twitter sphere, seem confused about the meaning of the donkey is dead. So I'm going to start us off real quick. Nothing too exciting here to report, actually, on the financing front. We've seen a bit of a spike just recently when we've seen Bonterra, but also Integra announce their bought deal financings. Our index jumped to 64, also with a more of a flurry of financings. It was 32 financings actually just in the recent weeks, or just 2 weeks ago. And then last week, things have died down again. We're down to 23 points in the index with only 18 financings down from 32. No more brokered financings, no bought deals, but at least $46 million instead of the 13 we've seen over the fall already. No bigger financings there worth mentioning. I've seen today that Integra Resources closed their non-brokered part of the private placement, which they upsized, which I think is a good sign. I hear from the company that their no warrant deal has been quite liked, and the market has approved of that. So in terms of financing activity, Brent, you're with me here or you're consulting to the Mining Deal Club. It's been fairly quiet. We've only done 6 deals since we started the Deal Club roughly a year ago. And part of it is because of a lack of activity and excitement, and there's just not enough good deal flow around to send out to investors. What are you seeing out there right now? What's your opinion on that?
No, you're right. It's interesting. I mean, I haven't kept track, but as a percentage, maybe you know the answer to this, but mining companies coming in, financing junior companies, I've seen a lot more of that over the past year and a half, which I think is a pretty good sign. And likewise, the companies that seem to be getting the money, it's for the most part a very selective group that, again, for the most part, is headed by competent people with intelligent projects. So it's very selective, and I would even say, intelligent money coming into the sector. Our problem is that those get bought up so fast, especially when you got a major mining company coming in and the big brokerage houses all standing in line to finance anything. It's tough to find a good small deal these days.
Exactly. And the sweet spot for our Mining Deal Club is usually the financings that are between $2 and $4 million that are not widely accessible, right? So there hasn't been that much in that category like we've seen in earlier 16 when sort of the idea was born of the Mining Deal Club, or even in 17, the beginning at least, the first couple months. And they're just bigger financings. Like for us, the Mining Deal Club at Bonterra, $20 million financing is not of interest. Same with the Integra. It's a great financing, but I think you'll get easily access through your broker for that one. So, and the smaller, high quality ones, we don't see at this point.
And I prefer to err on the side of caution with these because, once you're in, it's not that easy to get out. So we want to be very cautious. At least I do.
Exactly. No, and that's the whole idea behind the Deal Club as well. So we're not a chop shop, and people might have noticed, especially our subscribers. But the point is to deliver quality. And I think so far with the selection of companies, I can sleep at peace at night, which is really important. To move on, let's talk about the San Francisco conference. We saw each other Sunday. It was Sunday morning, and the conference just opened. It was still very quiet, but over the course of the day, it got busier. And the San Francisco conference, the Silver and Gold Summit, is always one of the quieter events usually of the year. And I think it even, when it was still the Hard Assets Conference, it closed its doors for a number of years before Cambridge came back and decided, hey, we need a San Francisco conference. And not just because of the weather, but I think there's a good amount of investors down in the area, in the Bay Area as well. And you mentioned you've been there Monday as well. I wasn't able to attend Monday. But you especially praised the quality of the speakers, and I think we both agree that there is actually a decent number of good quality companies at the conference as well. How would you describe the mood at the conference this year? I thought it wasn't upbeat; it was fairly neutral, but maybe you have a different take on it.
No, I would agree. It was neutral. There's certainly some interested people walking, retail investors and funds walking around having a look. I mean, you're competing with Silicon Valley there. But yeah, there were some interesting conversations. I heard people looking into the sector who had, sort of ignored it for quite a while. So I would say neutral. Many of the companies, of course, were very discouraged. Most of the stocks in this sector are down considerably this year. But it was good. I was really impressed with the show itself. They brought in a variety of good speakers. There were some great panels. It was a good show. I look forward to doing it again next year.
No, it's like, and also the conversation, or the conference halls, or not the hall, the speaker halls. From what I saw, they were always full. So that was fantastic, and that's something we haven't seen. I think last year it was okay, but it wasn't as busy as it seemed this year. So that was good.
Definitely busier this year.
Yeah. Um, you also said on a panel, it's called the Top Picks panel. And just for our listeners, do you mind reiterating your top picks at the conference?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, Mirasol was on the list. Mirasol MRZ. That stock is just, it's had a rough year. I think it's Argentinian connection and the lack of drill results. It's been a dead season down there in the winter. I've taken it down somewhat, so that's one. I talked about GT Gold too, and in fact, my keynote presentation, basically should have been titled something to the effect that it's not about exploration success or exploration due diligence. It's about the next drill hole, not the last drill hole. And GT Gold is a company we bought in Exploration Insights at around, I'd say, 65 cents based on the first drill hole. And the stock's up to $1.60 now, something around there. And it's about the next drill hole. And my point being is that you need to understand the geologic target, the concept, the potential economics behind a discovery, and what the next drill holes need to deliver to confirm that. So that's kind of where I was at. And GT Gold is one that I wouldn't say buy today, but if the upcoming drill results confirm our thesis, this thing is a buy. The other one was Evrim Resources, EVM. Again, the stock's done really well for us. We're up from 15 cents to about $1.30, I think it is. We've taken money off the table. We own it for free. But again, it's they just started drilling, and it's the drill holes coming out that we need to see. You need to know what you're looking at in terms of results, whether this is, a buy or a sell. I like the looks of what I've seen on surface, the results so far. The team, Newmont Mining, put $7 million into it. But again, it's about what's coming up next. It's not what's happened in the past.
No, isn't GT Gold coming up with a drill result fairly soon? There should be another hole pending, if I'm not mistaken, hole 102 or so.
Yeah, there's a few. I think they've got 5 more holes, and I'm thinking we'll see some next week, but I'm not certain.
Okay, no, and for clarification purpose, or disclaimer purpose, I'm also a shareholder of GT Gold, so I personally own some. So, no, I met with Mirasol at the Beaver Creek conference, and that's also a fantastic company. I'm really surprised how beaten down it is. I haven't looked at the share price since Beaver Creek, to be honest, but at 106 today, it seems like an absolute steal based on the cash they have in the till, but also the joint venture partners they have. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Exactly. I think they've got like 22 million in the bank. They've got partners spending money, big money on high potential targets in Chile. They're actually doing a bit of drilling on their own down in Argentina on some low cost outcropping veins they found that are just down the road from a mine that needs more ore. So it looks good.
I was excited about it after the meeting, so that's all I can say about it. You mentioned one point is the discoveries, and that's why we all, you have Evrim GT Gold in the portfolio. One thing I've noticed personally is that we've only seen really discoveries made in BC, or besides Great Bear, obviously in Ontario. But why do you think that is? Is that just because of the season we're in right now, or? And or is it maybe just a perception thing because we see the share prices of companies that are listed in BC shooting up?
Yeah, I would say the perception of discoveries. I wouldn't say discoveries on all those. Um, it, I mean, the Canadian market and Canadian retail investors are very Canadian focused. So a company like Great Bear or let's call it GT Gold or West Haven, they put out some darn good results and they get noticed real quick and they really ramp up. I could probably, in my presentation again, I pointed to probably six other companies that ramped up and have since subsequently collapsed. And that goes back to my point of it's all about the next drill hole. You need to understand the system and such. But you're right. Canadian companies, at least this past few months, have really done well. Some of them.
Yeah, we've seen West Haven, Sun Metals, Great Bear, a bunch of others like Aben Resources that shot up, came down.
Hmm.
Not arguing the quality of any of the discoveries there or potential discoveries, but it seems like they're all Canadian focused. Sun Metals was copper, fortunately. The rest was all gold discoveries.
Hmm.
So, what which also brings me to the next one again. It's a past discovery that sort of leads us to that. And you made an expression on Twitter that raised quite some attention in the Twitter sphere and online and with some other investors. The donkey is dead. Um, is something you've mentioned a couple times in reference to a certain company. And it seems like the people on Twitter, at least from the comments I've been reading, not all of them understand your reference. What did you mean by that?
Well, okay, so the company's Garibaldi, and they've got on CEO.ca a huge following, and just it's always populated with people commenting on every aspect possible of this company or anything to do with it. And it's quite silly, but the stock has done incredibly well based on the potential of a nickel sulfide discovery again in BC. Um, and I joined up Twitter after being encouraged to do so, and one of my comments basically was, uh, "Bad news, boys. The donkey's dead." I'd flown over the project, took a picture, and posted that. And I guess my point is, or the joke was that in the old times, you'd see this is back in the cowboy days, the gold miner prospector out looking for gold and stuff. His donkey finally dies and it's hopeless for him. That was kind of my
Okay,
reference.
no, that's great to explain that one because it seems like a lot of people didn't get it. You know,
Well, it's funny. There's people on the chat board that actually think there's donkeys up there.
well, I've seen them down in Arizona, but I haven't seen them up there in BC yet. So,
Yeah, no, it's not the right terrain.
no, this is fantastic, Brett. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you today, and we should do this more regularly.
Sounds good, Kai.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Brent, and
All
we'll
right,
talk very soon.
right. Talk to you later. Bye.